key distinguishing factors are innovation, right? So at the core of it, like you said, the FAANG companies, they innovate, and they innovate faster, they innovate better, and literally, if you see all their mission statements, some are in other ways say that they change the world, and they truly do, right? So we all know that. You have to be good at effective communication and collaboration, right?
This building don't just be bound by the technical title of TPM, but you develop this peripheral vision around different roles surrounding you and develop your niche, and also pick and choose on the technologies or the areas of interest, like we mentioned AI, ML, NPL, and so on, and try to develop your niche in one of these.
We all have strengths. We all have opportunities to improve. Everybody, right? Everybody in this world, right? So everybody has strengths. Some people have extraordinary strengths, talent, abilities. That's why they become super successful.
Hello and welcome to Mentorship Masterminds, the PMI podcast where we deep dive into the world of leadership, networking, and professional growth. I'm your host Mahesh Deshpande, and I'm excited to bring another episode of Mentorship Masterminds where I'll be talking to an industry leader or a seasoned expert on topics that are instrumental in shaping our next generation leaders. Today's topic is about becoming a technical program manager. This podcast is sponsored by PMI San Francisco Bay Area chapter. We are recording this at the vibrant Golden Gate University campus in the heart of downtown San Francisco, a city synonymous with pushing boundaries and breaking molds, and that's precisely the spirit that fuels our podcast. Today's topic is about becoming a technical project manager. And to talk to us about this topic, we have with us Vijay Ratthinam. Vijay is a senior technical program management leader at DocuSign. He has years of experience working as a technical program manager. He is ex-CEO of PMI San Francisco Bay Area chapter and is playing mentorship roles across, I would say, various chapters of PMI. He is also a mentor with the mentorship program at PMI San Francisco, and a dear friend. We've known for more than 2-3 years now, and have had a lot of interactions over mentorship, over technical program management, leadership, and other topics. Vijay, we are excited to have you on Mentorship Masterminds. Welcome.
Thank you, Mahesh.
Vijay, today's topic is about becoming technical project manager or a technical program manager. Before we deep dive into the topic, our audience would like to know more about you. You have held various leadership roles as a technical project manager, program manager across industries, and have been volunteering with various non-profits. Why don't you tell us something that we don't find on your LinkedIn?
Absolutely, yeah, sure, Mahesh. I can give you a little bit background about myself. And I have 20 plus years of experience working in the tech industry. Like you shared, I've been working as a technical program manager or technical program management leadership roles for more than 10 years. So I started as an engineer and then became an engineering manager, then switched to program management roles, and then last 10 years I've been with Salesforce and then Facebook, Meta now, and then recently joined DocuSign as a lead technical program manager as well. I would say there are 3 things I can, briefly talk about my background. One, of course, I'm passionate about program management, project management, technical program management, all this umbrella of program management things. And then I'm also passionate about entrepreneurship. I do volunteer in some of the entrepreneurial events, and then conducted recently a startup pitch event where nice. Helped other startups to gain more visibility, and then also myself as an entrepreneur, started a startup 10 years back as a fresh buys and ran it for 3 years before selling it, before exiting out of that as well. And then third aspect is I'm interested in volunteering and giving back, especially, that's how I started my journey with PMI in general, PMI San Francisco in particular. I became a volunteer with PMI San Francisco, eventually, became a CEO, and then right now I'm volunteering as a region mentor for Region 1 at PMI Global.
Vijay, you spoke about your experience with FAANG or now MAANG companies. One thing that always comes up is people are curious to join FAANG, right? Everybody wants to be part of MAANG, and they know about the perks when it comes to salary, which is the most visible perk. And to our audience who might not be familiar with FAANG or MAANG, it stands for Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, and Google, the best tech companies, where aspirants who are trying to get into TPM roles are trying to get into MAANG. You have worked at Meta, and you have also worked outside Meta in various other companies, DocuSign, Salesforce, etc. Can you talk more about the job responsibilities? What is fascinating about working with MAANG versus what is something that may not be that fascinating, which you may not like? If you could tell us more about your experience working with these companies.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think the key distinguishing factors are innovation, right? So at the core of it, like you said, the FAANG companies, they innovate, and they innovate faster, they innovate better, and literally, if you see all their mission statements, some are in other ways say that they change the world, and they truly do, right? So we all know that. So the innovation is key in these companies, and the second thing is about the size, the impact, right? So it's huge. Like last I knew, Facebook had 3.4 billion or 3 billion user base. So which is like, as a kid or even as an adult, I could not have imagined any company having a data of that many people in the world, right? So it's just like more than half the world, right? So this sheer size of all these companies, Facebook, Google, Netflix, and everything. So that's and the third one is what, like talent and culture. See, these places have known for getting the best talents, right? So because of the rigor they put in an interview, the number of candidates who wants to work for them, and then the perks they provide to these folks, and then the culture, talent and culture, the culture they internally created in these companies where you can excel, right? So I would say it's not that there is zero politics in these companies, right? So the politics is different. It is about whose idea is winning, right? Rather than who do I pull down kind of a thing. I'm not saying that other companies are doing that, but that's the switch happens in your idea, right? When you get a top talent in one place, imagine the ideas you have, ideas flowing in the room, conversations in the meetings, and then people fight for it, right? So they are very passionate about it and fight for it and get the best idea to execution. And they have resources. They have these, like a servers, GPUs, whatnot, and the best places, best office spaces. So they take care of the employees very well in terms of, like perks, benefits, and everything. So that's one of the reasons everybody wants to work for this company, for many reasons, because they innovate, they impact the world in nobody has imagined, never before kind of a way, and then they get an opportunity to work with the best talents, right? So even during my time, I have conducted more than 70, 80 interviews, and I truly enjoy talking to the people. I was like, sometimes, like I'll be interviewing a person who work with top athletes, top movie stars, and who work for, like NASA and other companies. Like I'd be looking at their profile, oh wow, right? So it's kind of amazing to work with such talents, and then you feel really, like you tend to push your boundary further. So that's kind of, what's the difference I personally felt. I mean, if you want more, I can, talk about it. Just I don't know whether I'm...
As a follow-up to this, I mean, this is amazing sharing insights about MAANG. Now, if you are out of MAANG, or if you're probably not able to get into MAANG, right, what is something that you don't miss about MAANG and probably are excited more with other tech companies outside MAANG?
Yeah, I think I would take the cues from my previous answer. So it always go back to what you want to do, right? So at the core of it, like, see, at some point of time, I wanted to really work for Facebook. but I knew internally I don't want to, that's going to be the company or only company, right? So I wanted to get that experience to know what it is to work for a FAANG company, right? So yes, I did that, check mark, and move on, right? There are a lot of wonderful companies I work for. I work for Target for 5 years. I work for Salesforce for 5 years. I'm working for DocuSign. Now, all are great companies. Target is like consumer-facing. Salesforce is enterprise-facing companies. DocuSign is, again, enterprise-facing companies. Right? So these are companies created primarily the enterprise products and then sometimes, consumer products as well. And they're equally successful, right? So sometimes, you optimize for work-life balance. Sometimes you optimize for working in an enterprise area. Sometimes you are mission oriented, right? So, people who wanted to work in cloud, they love working for Salesforce. People who wanted to really, work in a consumer facing e-commerce when I was, I love working for Targets, right? So people have their own life journey, people have their own priorities and interests, and then they would also pick up companies they like to work based on that. I know a lot of my friends who do not want to work for Facebook as well, right? But that's okay, that's their choice.
Yeah.
And then that's totally fine, right? So
depending on where you are in your life,
exactly,
and your priorities.
What you wanted to do, yeah.
Okay, makes sense. Let's also talk about, we spent a lot of time on tech. Let's talk about non-tech, right? So there are some misconceptions that TPM role is only in the tech industry. Can you talk about TPM roles outside tech, right? What does the role look like and what is expected in those industries for a technical program management role?
Sure, yeah. So again, like we talked about earlier, the titles and the roles keep changing in the industry. We all know that, if you look at 20 years back, I don't know whether we had this title of product manager, right? So it used to be a business analyst, and then that role became a business owner, then they become a product manager. The same way, the title used to be project manager, right? So PMP and PMP certified project managers used to be niche, and then people eventually became Agile or Scrum certified CSM. Then eventually people became program manager who handled multiple projects, and then program management, PGMP became a thing, and people started doing PGMP certification and they handled the bigger projects, bigger programs. And then TPM became niche because there are a lot of PGMs, program managers, and they wanted to distinguish, they were looking for a particular program manager who can speed things. I would like to think this whole suite of roles as one thing. What do we do basically, right? So we bring idea, we execute on it, we deliver it, and we get the results. That's the core we wanted to do. How much we have done it before, that much faster I can do. Let's say if I'm hiring a TPM for a movie industry, does this person know how plot works? Does this person know how camera works, how sound works? Then that person becomes a TPM for movie industry. And if the project management role started in a construction industry, and TPM in a construction industry would be somebody who has done a civil engineering, who has done a lot of construction project, who has worked in Dubai or New York or San Francisco, involved in some of the huge projects in the world, or built bridges, and then they come back, they become a TPM. And to me now, PGM role or project management role looks like more of a coordination, right? At the base of it, you start coordinating, and then you become good at communicating, bringing teams together, and then you become good at, technically savvy, solid, and then even challenge the folks. What I would say is, think about, since we talked about this movie making example, think about a TPM who joins and goes to the cameraman, gives an advice, and that's when it becomes a TPM. Same thing as a TPM at Facebook. Would I be able to join and review the architecture which my architect comes with or engineer comes with, and go ask a question, hey, tell me why do we have to choose such a database, or tell me why do we have to go with this API than that API, or why do we have to build a new system or new platform than leveraging the existing platform. To do this, I need to have a lot more technical background. I cannot have just a collaboration background, or I cannot just to do status reporting and communication and then go challenge an engineer, right? So to do that, I need to know a lot more. When you do that, you can excel as a TPM in any industry, not just in a tech industry. That's kind of my takeaway in doing this role for the last few years.
Thank you, Vijay. That's powerful. Vijay, I would like to switch gears now and talk about the trends and future outlook for the TPM role. These days, there have been so much talk about AI, generative AI, which is impacting and going to impact all roles across all industries. And there is also this thing about hybrid work culture due to pandemic and post-pandemic, the new truth of hybrid, where we have to expected now to go back to office as well as work from home. These realities are changing the role for us for as TPMs. So how do you see the major impact that will have these changes will have or are having on the TPM role, and what is your outlook for the future, right? And how do you encourage our TPMs to prepare themselves, to gear themselves up so that they can be prepared for the changes ahead?
Absolutely, yeah. I would say a couple of things. One is I would start with networking. So it's a very broad term, right? So when we say networking, like what, how, and everything, right? The easy way I would say is like there are a lot of forums, materials available in internet right now. So me personally, part of a lot of LinkedIn groups, Discord channels, Slack channels, WhatsApp groups, specifically with a group of TPMs who wants to move this space forward. Right? Even recently, a lot of people met at the Computer History Museum as a TPM conference, and then everybody from like Google, Amazon, like all the FAANG companies, non-FAANG companies who want to be in the TPM space came, discussed the trends and techniques and the tools which help them to play the game at the best level possible. So be part of it. No matter what level you are maybe at the entry level, or you may be there for the last 20 years, but still be part of it. Learn from the experts, learn from their mistakes, and understand and build your profile, and make sure that what you want to be, in which journey you wanted to follow. Right? So that's where I would start. Start with the networking, and then number two, I would say take a self-audit. Right? What you are good at, what is the feedback you are getting? What is the feedback you got from your managers you work with? Are you a good manager material? Are you really good at program management and execution, doing things in the faster, the best, and the largest scope programs? Or are you really inclined in technical? In TPM, I think you can spot a trend in yourself, right? So whether you are more here, less here, that kind of a thing, and then focus on that more. And even in that, one of the suggestions I have is like you need to really focus on where you wanted to build your career as well, right? So there is a one good analogy, say the future is here, just that it is not evenly distributed, right? So the same trend goes. There are a lot of new TPM roles are here in the market already, but just that it's not across all the companies. For example, at Facebook, my role was known as PTPM, right? So Product Technical Program Manager. So not only I was a program manager, I was a technical program manager, and I was also a product technical program manager, which means that I have to do some of the responsibilities of a product manager. So when my product manager, who's a like a really senior product manager, left, I was left with no choice to handle some of her responsibilities, right? So it was really, really overwhelming, but I had to step in and learn. So that's when the product sense came handy, right? So I think you also be ready to pivot, right? So some people as a TPM, when they got laid off in the recent rounds of layoffs, right? So they pivoted into engineers. And some people pivoted into engineering leaders, engineering managers. Some people pivoted as the product managers, right? Some people stayed as a TPM and then program managers. It's again a multitude of skills, right? So you develop multiple skills, and then you evaluate where you are good at it, where your strength lies, and then you evaluate your future. What do you want to build, right? So for example, being a PTPM helped me to improve my product management skills, right? So like I was sharing at my introduction, someday I want to be an entrepreneur, and I have tried my hands at it, and then I'm connected with a lot of entrepreneurs, and then being a product manager is one of the great skills to be an entrepreneur, because you need to have a product idea, product sense, and then eventually become better at it. So that's that's something you should focus. The third one is like a good question about AI, ML, NLP, and all these. So these are all the tools, technologies, crypto, and all these are going to come, and then you have to pick and choose how much you wanted to get onto it. You want to do a good enough level? Do you want to become an expert? Right? You cannot be expert in everything. You cannot be expert in cloud. You cannot be expert in database. You cannot be expert at crypto. So you have to pick and choose. Do you want to be abreast of all these things, or do you want to go deeper in few things, right? So, and you have to very well call it out, right? So, if you are a security expert, then wear that hat, do some certification, and you want to become a CSO, become that path, right? If you want to become a data engineering, get into data engineering and become an expert, or do a data science, and then do some of the courses in that. Right? So there are tons of, again, the same thing, right? If you're a product sense, get into product management, do some of the certifications, learn the topics, and then become better at it. So you have to pick and choose and go deep on few areas, and you have to know what are the upcoming technologies, and then go abreast of some of the things as well. So you have to play both the games. So at the core of it, again and again, the skill of being a TPM, the difficult part of TPM is like you have to develop the peripheral vision, right? So you are here, you are there, you are doing everything, and then you are tying the things together. So that's where you'll be good at it, right? So
this is golden. I'm learning so much from you, Vijay. So if I can rephrase what you just said, is this building don't just be bound by the technical title of TPM, but you develop this peripheral vision around different roles surrounding you and develop your niche, and also pick and choose on the technologies or the areas of interest, like we mentioned AI, ML, NPL, and so on, and try to develop your niche in one of these, right? So develop that is what you mean by developing a peripheral vision.
Yes, it also depends on how you get opportunities and how flexible or stubborn you are with taking that responsibilities, right? So, see, some people I knew are lucky enough, like for example, one of my good friends, and who's a CEO of a well-known company also, is like he started working in a storage and database, and right after his master's in computer science, and he's still getting to work on these things for the last 20 years, and he's very successful at it, right? So he also worked at Meta, and then eventually he had his own company, and which is great, right? So he got that opportunity, and he is like deep into it, and he's in one particular area, compared to me, who started engineering, worked in a supply chain company for Mercedes-Benz and Chrysler, and then learned a lot of supply chain, then went to retail, again did a lot of supply chain and e-commerce, developed that domain, and then technologies needed for that, then switched to Salesforce, learned a lot of cloud engineering and then DevOps, and then switched to Facebook, where I have built a couple of products and then business engineering tools, and then over to DocuSign and completely into the e-sign and then different technologies, right? So again, it's kind of opportunities you get, and you develop, you become good at certain domains. And I know some of the people who sticks with security domain for 20 years, who sticks with data engineering domain for 20 years. Of course, I'm not going to compete with them. But if somebody who's looking for people who experience in multiple domains, but no good enough knowledge in DevOps or good enough knowledge in cloud, then I would be able to apply for those roles. So the challenge comes because you are applying for AML, but you know only this much. Then you are going to be, you have a very, very less shot to get at it, right? Compared to somebody who has worked for 10 years.
Absolutely. I'm glad you're giving these examples, because we always hear about you should develop a domain skill, have a niche domain, but people get confused, like what do you mean by domain? So thank you for sharing these examples and diving on particular topics. You spoke about learning, and one part of learning is, in addition to getting certifications, learning online is also about the role of mentors, right? People understand that mentors play a valuable role, but are looking for avenues. Some companies like FAANG or other tech companies have mentorship roles within the company. They have proper program, but not everyone has that avenue to explore. So what is your take on mentorship? Does mentorship help people from a technical program manager lens? How does it help, and what are the avenues that our next generation leaders, who are the audience for this, who are watching and listening to us, what is your advice for them on how to go about mentorship, how to approach, and what to look out for in a mentor?
Yeah, But it's a great question for sure. If a question is mentorship helps, absolutely yes, right? So the analogy I could think of right now is everyone should think of themselves as a company, right? So you are your own organization or a corporate or a company, and your mentors should be like your board members, right? So you should hire mentors from diverse perspective, who gives you a feedback, right? So I know some people say have this mentor, that mentor, that's great, but you have to have like a pool of mentors, right? So, and we all have strengths, we all have opportunities to improve, everybody, right? Everybody in this world, right? So everybody has strengths. Some people have extraordinary strengths, talent, abilities, that's why they become super successful, great athletes, great movie stars, great businessmen and everything, and some people are not, right? So that's completely okay, normal. And we all have a lot of blind spots, day in, day out, right? And every day, we get good at some things, we also become bad at few things, or we have some blind spots we don't know about, right? So mentors can bring you that visibility, right? So I would say everybody should have, right? It's not a question. Everybody should have many people who advise them, right? Think about it this way. When you think, only your brain is thinking. When 10 people think for you, who's empathetic, who you trust, and then see that multiplication power. When I have not applied for a job myself, right? So for example, I joined Facebook. I didn't even apply. One of my close friends who reached out to me. I joined Salesforce because one of my close friends who reached out to me said, hey, there is this opening, right? So I didn't even apply for these companies. I ended up working for some of these great companies without even me personally looking for a job in those companies and applying for it. See, that's the power of having good friends, mentors, and network, right? So, and then they come and tell you that, hey, you are good at these things, highlight it. You are not so good at these things, and you should be comfortable to listen to them. And then maybe you wanted to bridge your gap. Maybe you wanted to work on it, right? So, like I was saying, that, pick your, go technical about it. Even though we talk about program management, people think of program management is somebody who's like coordinating, passing a bill from here to there, here to there. No, I mean, there are a lot of technical. Have you managed scope? Ask the right question. What is the biggest scope you have done, right? You brought a water from here to here, that's a scope, right? Or did you bring a water from Hoover Dam to here in this much gallon? That's also scope. The scope changes to this extent, right? If somebody is saying that a cup of water is totally different from tons of water from Hoover Dam, right? So both have brought water. It just changes. So everything, if you go technical, what is the highest scope you have done? What is the highest schedule you have done? People don't ask, can you show me your schedule, right? What is the number of lines of schedule you have? Like, do you have 100 lines, 1,000 lines, 10,000 lines? So if you keep on drilling down into these traits, and then improve upon one by one with the help of mentors, your performance, your ability to get what you want would be much, much easier than you do it on your own. So that's where mentorship plays a huge role.
Thank you, Vijay. And how does one look for, where do we go to find mentors, right? If you don't have in your company.
People generally think looking for mentors is difficult. I tell you, it's the easiest thing. So I'm in the last 5 years, easily I have talked to 500 plus people. I'm not really exaggerating, easily 500 plus people. And all people, some people reached out to me through SMS messages, through WhatsApp messages, through LinkedIn, through email, every way and form. So LinkedIn is a great tool, right? So my number one go-to tool, go and look for the role you look for. Look for the person who resonates with you and just reach out to them. And you would be amazed, somebody could be VP at Google, right? So I know I have reached out to a lot of VPs at Google, they accept. And let me say you that, even they would be willing to even help you with that. So just that, you need to put in that time and effort based on the people you wanted to reach. And you have to tell them. You cannot go and tell that, hey, I need 2 hours of your time. Why? What do you want? Where are you? What you have done to gain their trust, and then give them your time. If you are able to tell your story clearly, and then I think if they see a merit in it, they would accept it, and I have done it, right? So I know when I was working for Meta, a lot of people were interviewing for Meta. They reached out to me and said, hey, I have done my hiring manager round. I'm interviewing for solution design. I need some help. Can you help? Yes, of course. right? So if I'm not interviewing that candidate, if I'm not interviewing that particular type of interview, I would go and tell them that, like how do you do or how I have done it, and then give them tips, tools, books to refer, forums to follow, people to talk to. In all these different ways, I have helped them, right? So it's much easier than you think. Just that, you see, as a TPM, communication, collaboration is important. Strategy is also important, right? So you need to come up with your own strategy. How am I going to get this role? How am I going to get this job? How am I going to be successful in life? How am I going to be a successful program manager? Or what's my vision to start my own company? If we are not very clear, and that's going to be, then you would get into a game of complaining. Oh, nobody is helping me. Somebody knows better than me. Yeah, somebody knows better than you because they have put in an effort.
Makes sense. I think this is really valuable. Don't just use LinkedIn as a tool for finding your next job, but use it as a tool to also grow yourself, reach out and expand your network.
Absolutely. No, I agree with you, what you said, yeah.
Thank you, Vijay. I can talk to you for hours and this can go on, but in the interest of time, we would like to wrap up. So my last couple of questions to you. From your journey, rich experience of over 20 years across various industries, are there any lessons learned that you can share with our audience on what are some of something that have worked for you and something that probably we shouldn't do? If you're comfortable sharing that.
Absolutely. No, I think the most important lesson I learned is always develop long range and short range plans for yourself, right? So you have a vision. So for example, for myself, even now, I have a vision of having my own company someday, right? So I don't know. That's my long range vision. In short range, again, I'm right now working. I wanted to work in this particular tech industry, and then I wanted to work for this particular role, this particular company. That kind of a vision is very important. So always develop short range and long range plans, and it keeps changing because there is a lot of market dynamics, right? So right now we are going through a slump, right? There are a lot of layoffs, tech industry is going to down. It is okay. You will keep changing the plans, but always have the plan and then revise on the plan. So that has really, really served me well. And the second thing, since we talked about mentoring, networking, connection, and build and help a lot of people, right? So one thing I learned hard, like first a few years, I was taking, be that taker person. And then when I switched from a taker to giver, I asked the same question. A lot of people I talk, what can I give? I am just an entrant. I don't have anything. I'm just in university. I'm just in college. I'm just a new. No, you can give in any, you can be a giver at any level, right? You can volunteer, you can do anything. And then once you switch the mindset of a giver, that's when I joined a PMI to work for me and volunteer, giver. A lot of people started giving back to me, right? So I was like taking indirectly without even asking. So do that switch that, develop your network, do volunteering, connect with a lot of forums, and then that way, it will go hand in hand with your plans, and then you build a nice, amazing network of people in general, and then who would help you to achieve what you wanted to achieve. So that's kind of my biggest lesson, or I would say what works for me, right? So, well.
Thank you for sharing that, Vijay. I can totally relate to it. From my experience working with PMI, I see so many volunteers. And as you called out about university students as well, right? You may not be an expert, you may have just started your career, but I see so many of them who come volunteer. Even for this podcast, we have volunteers who are helping us out. And I think they are the rock stars who shine when you even look at university students among 100, 150. These are the people who stand out and when they think about giving back or think about contributing, right? So thank you once again for sharing. I think it really resonates with everyone.
I agree, Mahesh. I mean, I again, the same thing, since you talked about PMI volunteering, I was a program manager when I joined 2014 PMI, right? So the first job I had was some of the event manager. I was asked to push tables, pull tables, stand at the front desk and ask people to enter their name and email. That's what I was doing for the first 1 year and 2 years. Eventually, got to know nice people. We would all start somewhere. That's the point, right? So sometimes, we may get less than ideal roles, but just get started, and then eventually you get your way. People see, the world will see your goodness, and then I believe in karma, and then you do keep doing good things, and then it will come back to you for sure. Yeah.
Awesome. Vijay, my last question. This is one we ask all our guests. If you have to summarize the podcast, right, and have our audience leave them with one key takeaway and 2 action items, what would that be?
Okay. To be a successful TPM, or if you want to be known as the greatest TPM ever, I would say you have to be good at effective communication and collaboration, right? So all your skills, talents, your knowledge, whether it is technical, program management, or leadership, it all helps you to be successful for delivery only if you're an effective communicator and collaborator, right? So effective communication and collaboration is a game day thing, because you would be talking to various people across the program and projects, from engineering, from product, to program management, legal, privacy, security, DevOps, and everybody. So to bring everybody together to make sure you get the vision into the reality, your effective communication and your effective collaboration is the key attribute to make the whole program or the product successful. So that's kind of the key takeaway for everyone who's listening to this. On the 2 action items, I would say be curious. That's my one thing, which served me well, which served a lot of people well. Like I started this podcast with Mahesh when he asked me from program management to TPM. My search was like being really curious about technology, right? So first 10 years of my career, I didn't get to work in Bay Area. I felt so bad. But when I got here, I was like really curious about all these tech industry, tech companies, and then the latest development and trends. So that's what got me here. So be curious about the space you want to be in, and put a lot of effort into it, right? So that's what being more curious. And second thing, action, continuous learning, right? So again, you see that tech goes really grows fast, and then it's ever changing, right? So what you hear yesterday is not here today, and then everybody's talking about AI today, so people know the latest trends and developments. So continuous learning is a meta skill, right? So the meta skill you develop, you become a continuous learner. So once you become a continuous learner, nothing matters. You know the principle, you know the continuous learnability, and then you can easily transcend to anything. So that's kind of so one takeaway is effective communication and collaboration. 2 action items: be curious and learn continuously. Thank you.
Awesome. Be curious and learn continuously. Thank you, Vijay. We'll end on that note. Thank you so much for joining Mentorship Masterminds. It was a pleasure listening to you on various aspects of technical program management. Thank you once again for being here.
Thank you, Mahesh. I loved your questions, and then you're so natural at it. And then wish you the best for your future episodes also. And I would like to thank PMI, GGU, and also the amazing volunteers for this opportunity as well.
Thank you. Thank you for tuning into today's episode of Mentorship Mastermind. Today's topic was about becoming a technical program manager, and I hope the nuggets provided by our mastermind Vijay Ratthinam helped you move an inch closer towards realizing your dream of becoming a technical program manager. Keep watching Mentorship Masterminds. We have other episodes on embracing empathetic leadership, developing your social capital, and also pivoting into project management. Until next time, keep listening to Mentorship Masterminds with your host Mahesh Deshpande. Keep thriving, keep inspiring.